Absolutely. So it is difficult to take investment capital in a startup company um, at some per share price because the company has no ascertainable valuation. It's just five people and a good idea and a pitch deck right now, and maybe some stuff that Dallas and or Max have been working on. But for the most part, it would be silly for us to try to say what our company's worth because it really isn't worth much at all. There was a sort of heuristic back in the 90s, at least in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, where if you started your company and wrote a business plan or even an executive summary and you were talking to investors, you were a $3 million company, just right out of the gate. We were just anoint you a $3 million valuation, and the investors would invest $1 million and get a third of the company, and that was sort of your standard issue seed/Series A deal back in the day. And then it became fashionable for a long time to deal with this valuation problem by using what's called a convertible note, which is a note is a loan document. And so you would take the money as a loan, and it would have an interest rate, and it would have a maturity date. If events unfolded the way you didn't want them to, you would have to pay the money back. But then there was a conversion tool in the document which said, if you get to a Series A, where you're priced round, where you have a valuation, where those smart venture capitalists look at you and they say, all right, you've got revenues, and we're going to apply those, multiply those revenues by a multiple, and we're going to come up with a valuation for the company or whatever method they happen to use. Then you, Mr. Convertible Note Holder or Mrs. Convertible Note Holder, you can convert the amount that you loaned us into equity purchase of securities in the company at the valuation that the Series A is coming in, minus a little discount for your having been so early an investor. So the discount that we're going to give you off the Series A valuation is good for you. You get a slightly better discount than the Series A investors because you've been with us so long and you took a risk before we had any traction. So that was the convertible note. It started as a loan, then it converted to an equity purchase when the price was ascertainable. And these fellas out at Y Combinator in Silicon Valley, which is, as I'm sure you all know, the sort of premier gold standard business accelerator in the world. So they do a lot of these deals. And they said, the note is just a fiction. Nobody pays back the loan. I admit to you that it can work in the investor's favor because the maturity on the note is likely to be 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And there are some companies, and I've had some clients who didn't have a priced round in all that time. And the notes, a couple of their early notes matured. And of course, the investor, in this case, I'm thinking of Vinick, the Mr. Investor here in town. His team came in and had to renegotiate. We had to renegotiate some of those notes. And they got substantially better terms because, the client didn't have the money to pay the notes back and they hadn't converted yet. So taking the loan component out of the convertible note is slightly more advantageous to the company and less advantageous to the investor. It is true. And for that reason, some early stage investors will say that they prefer to have the convertible note than the safe because they recognize that it's less advantageous to them to do a safe. That if the note actually matures, they will stand to be able to renegotiate a better position. In most cases, if somebody rejects a safe, it's because they just don't understand it. In some cases, they don't understand the concept of an unpriced round at all. They're like, if I'm buying stock, it's going to be worth something, so I want to know how much of it I'm getting. And you just have to beat that down as best you can when you're talking to a sort of old-fashioned investor. And you got to say we don't know what the company's valued at by any rational valuation method. We don't have a valuation right now, and we won't until we have, revenues. Um, so that's the argument that you'll, or the resistance you will sometimes get, is that people don't understand the whole concept of buying something without a value, or parking their money temporarily until it does have a value. And that's basically what this document does. It's a convertible note without the note component. So there's no loan. There's a payback mechanism built in if the company goes under, if the company goes bankrupt or goes out of business. Technically, there's a debt here where the company has to pay the safe holder back, but it's not a true debt instrument, so they're not first in line like other debt creditors would be. So that's the basic idea. Is with the safe, we get I'm proposing a 20% discount. That's what we've been, I think, telling people. And that's what's in the cover letter that Jeff and I wrote over the weekend. So we invert that, just here, we invert that to the way the math works out, and the way the calculations are done. The discount rate is 80%, which is equivalent to a 20% actual discount off the price round, the Series A valuation. The way you use this document, and I'll send it to everybody or put it on the shared drive, obviously insert where it's yellow highlighted with the appropriate data. I tend not to spell out dollar amounts, but you can, if you want to. You can put the English and the numbers, but if you do, you should recognize that the English rules, the English words prevail over any number that you might put in next to it. So the instinct, however, when you go in to make a change, is to only change the numerals and not change the English. And that's the mistake many people make when they change documents like this. So you got to be very careful. If you put the English, $500,000, if you write it out, and then that number changes, be sure that you change the English and the numerals together before it's signed.
Well, just to be clear, Brad, none of these should be prepared by anybody except you and I.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, if that's the way,
that'll be our quality control.
Fine. I wouldn't want, to the extent there's this rarely happens, okay, but if you're out and about and you're with an investor and he's about to get on a plane, he's like, give it to me right now and I'll sign it right now, and you never know if you're going to hook him or not. You can't reach Jeff.
Yes, I'm just running a hole in his pocket.
This is something that I imagine Max running into from time to time, given his jet-setting worldly ways. But anyway, and again, I apologize for constantly using the male pronoun to refer to hypothetical people. I assure you, I'm quite woke. Anyway, what this document basically says is, if there's no equity finance, if there's no the equity financing is the triggering event, and if there's a liquidity event before the Series A, so if we sell the company before we do a price round, there's an account there's a paragraph here for that the investor gets the amount they either get their money back or they get the amount they would have gotten had they converted right before the company was sold, at whatever valuation the company is sold at. So it still works out for them, and that's really it. I put in that the equity round needs to be at least $1 million. So if we do a small priced round at like $500,000 or something, we can not convert the safes. But I don't know. I kind of like getting the safes converted as soon as possible when there's a valuation cap, because you never know what your valuation is going to be tomorrow, and it might be crazy. But with no cap and a discount, it's almost irrelevant. They're going to get 20% off the Series A, you know, regardless of what valuation it's at. So I don't, the reason to not convert the safes until there's a meaningful round is purely because we don't necessarily want to add all these people as shareholders to our list of shareholders, because then they all have the right to come to shareholder meetings and vote on things and all that stuff. So we kind of want to put the conversion off as long as possible, which is why there's $1 million threshold. Now, of course, I broke my own rule here and actually put in the English words, so I'm going to take them out. The space bar on my keyboard is starting to fail, which is causing me considerable grief today. Everything's wrong, broken here today. I can't get my camera to work, my keyboard. So I mean, that's the basic idea. Okay, I mean, I could walk you through some of these definitions, and frankly, the document could be a lot simpler than it is. It's got some, but I don't want to change it in any significant way, because we get a lot of mileage out of saying this is identical to the standard Y Combinator post money safe.
I wanted to address that, Brent, because it's got it at the top. Can you just give everybody the 60 seconds on what that means? Because some of the potential investors will know what that means. It's from the Y Combinator.
Yeah, so as I say, Y Combinator is a very well-known sort of gold standard business accelerator for startups. They run several cohorts a year, and they're very active deal makers and brokers, if you will, for deals in the space. And they're really, you know, they are the Silicon Valley shining example of how to do early stage investing. And so this is their document that they promulgate and they encourage everybody to use for transactions like this. It's like getting a form from the venture capital, you know, association or something like that. So we don't change it much, and we can even provide the investor with a red line of our document against the standard if they want to see what we did. I do change it for cosmetics. You know, I put in titles and page numbers and things like that, and I don't like I like Arial over Times Roman, so I changed the fonts, but that's about it.
Brent, two other things about that. One is, can you highlight for us, where is it in here that the provision that there's no cap? And could you walk through an example, say, of $1 million price round, and how that impacts someone, because that may be someone who wants an example.
Okay, sure. What were you saying, Lisa?
I was going to bring up how it gets booked and then the advantages of the QSBS, but we can talk about that after this question.
So that's a really, no, that's actually a point I can address right now. I mean, I don't know from an accounting perspective how you book the money. I mean,
yeah, we actually book it as equity.
I think you do.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, even though we haven't given the stock yet.
Right.
Excuse me. We can place the safes on the cap table as well. They're just not actually converted. So we can put them on the cap table on an as converted basis at various valuations. Excuse me. I feel as though I'm coming down with something today. So the other thing was QSBS. Yeah, so you don't get qualified small business tax treatment, from my understanding, until you have purchased stock in a corporation, which means I don't think you have purchased stock in a corporation until the until the safe converts, but I'd need to refer to a CPA on that. Do you know, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm actually, let's see, the clock starts on the date of conversion.
Yep. Okay. So.
Making a safe a little bit more of a hybrid, but still classified as equity.
Yeah, the safe is definitely a security, and we can't sell them to anybody who's not an accredited investor.
Yeah.
Or preferably. So, yeah. So qualified small business tax treatment starts on the day of conversion. And let this be a reminder to us that we all need to write our checks for our shares as well.
Soon
Yes,
as we
but we
have
don't
a bank account, that's another thing.
That's a whole nother thing. So, before we, I don't want to miss Jeff's question about walking through an example.
Yeah.
So let's say someone writes a check for 25 grand. How does this work for them?
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's walk through it. So, gosh, I'm sorry about my voice here. So if there is let's go back here. If there's an equity financing before the termination, dumb thing to say, but whatever. The SAFE will convert into the number of shares of SAFE preferred stock equal to the purchase amount divided by the discount price. The purchase amount in this case would be $25,000.
Okay.
So what is the discount price?
I got you now.
The discount price is the lowest per share price of the standard preferred stock sold in the equity financing multiplied by the discount rate. What is the discount rate? That is the 80%. So basically, it's the it's the price per share multiplied by the discount rate. So it's going to be 20. It'll be $800,000 total valuation. Multiplied by divided by the $800,000. So whatever the per share price turns out to be, because it's done on a per share basis. It will be the number of shares that they get. So I mean, we could
But
run.
Can't we figure that out in this? Because this is a hypothetical.
Yeah. So we have.
So if it was $1 a share.
So we have what, 5 million shares issued and outstanding right now?
And we have issued and issued.
Yeah, we have 1 million.
No, we have 6 million.
Okay. All right. So we have 6 million. So if we do $1 million round, priced round, let's see if we can figure it out. $1 million divided by 6 is a pre-money valuation of, that's not right. $1 million divided by 6 million. Sorry, 1 divided by 6 is basically 17 cents a share. Is our per share price.
Okay.
And we need to know what our valuation is. We need to know what our valuation has been would be at that time. Let's say the investor is giving us $1 million on let's say a $3 million valuation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're selling, let's see, we're selling a third of the company. We're going to have to issue another 3 million shares. Is that right? To go from 6 million to 9 million. So he's got effectively a third of the company. The new incoming investor's got a third of the company. So that'll be a total capitalization of 9 million shares. Again, at a $3 million valuation, that's 33 cents a share. Right? Yeah, 3 divided by 9. Yeah, it's 33 cents a share. So the value of the shares is 33 cents. The $25,000 safe holder is going to get a valuation of 33 times 0.8.
Times or divided by?
80%. He gets 80% of his valuation is 80% of the
Okay. Gotcha.
or 20% off, right?
So For quick clarification, when you say his valuation, or is it his discounted price to
I
get
beg
this?
your pardon. Yeah. It's his discounted. Yeah. it's his-
Discounted.
Yeah, because the valuation's the same. He's just getting the stock at a lower rate, which is his benefit of being in the safe. Is
That's
that
correct. That's correct. So
So instead of 33 cents, he gets 26 cents.
he gets
Right.
27,
yeah, he gets
27 cents.
enough stock that's awarded to him at 26, but the value's still 33 because he was
Right. That's exactly right. So the valuation doesn't go down for the safe investor. The valuation is what it is, as determined by the price round, the Series A. We just give him a
pretty
discount.
much buying an option in the company before it's on the market.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and you're gonna ordinarily you would have gotten a valuation that was a lot lower had we given you one, but we didn't want to do that because it's irrational. So we'll just wait until the Series A, and now you're converting at a discount off of the Series A valuation. So you get 26 cents per share. You invested $25,000.
Right, and I always go back.
Oh, I don't know. So $25,000 divided by 0.2, we'll call it 27 cents a share, gets you 92,592 or 93 shares.
So you pretty much make an immediate $6,500 the second it converts. If we're doing quick math, because they say
Correct.
it's a share,
Yep,
7 cents times the 90 something thousand shares they now have. They just made $6,000 off of whatever that took just for it to convert.
yep. They bought something at $25,000 that's now worth more than that. Yeah,
It's worth like 32 or something.
yeah, something like
So
that.
effectively, if am I doing my math right, that because we're saying they're getting 92,000 and we said the total, that's 92,000 shares out of 9 million, right?
Yep,
So they've got about 1%
yep.
at that valuation.
Yep, if they came in at $25,000, they've got about 1% of the company.
That is if we do it at that valuation, at that raise, and everything else. Because those
Yeah,
numbers
at the closing of the Series A financing, they'll be at about just under 1%.
So the assumptions in that are that the valuation is 3 million and that the equity financing was 1 million.
Yep.
Okay, that's super helpful to me.
Okay.
I'll say I don't see this getting valued at 3 million ever.
No, same
Like
here.
especially when OpenAI is trying to push their valuation to 90 or 100 billion right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, it's crazy. And there was an AI company that was doing a chat bot, general purpose sales chat bot, as I recall, that just got at something crazy like a $2 billion valuation or something like that.
I've seen people trying to raise money
do they
for
do
skinning
that?
OpenAI and ChatGPT. They
Yeah,
literally just skinned
how-
ChatGPT and are trying to raise money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've seen
I mean-
a lot of that. Max, how do they do that? They just, I mean, with
Aren't that-
ChatGPT, with ChatGPT,
Right, but no, but like the real question is, investors are not idiots. They understand that. They understand how they're doing this. What the hell? Where is this coming
Not
from?
all of
I mean,
them.
they've got to demonstrate some kind of traction. So they've got their first half dozen customers. They're making,
Wow.
$50 million, or they've booked $50 million in annual recurring revenue, and they're hot like hotcakes. And investors are like, where do I sign? Take my money. I mean, ChatGPT is making $1 billion a year right now, with nowhere to go but up. So. And have I told you guys, by the way, that ChatGPT in French means cat I farted? Did we talk about
Yes.
that?
Yes. GPT.
ChatGPT. And so you might watching the news in French speaking Canada or France or I guess Algiers or whatever it might be is probably really interesting because they're like, cat I farted is going to take over the world, and cat I farted is making $1 billion, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I can, what I'll do, if I have a chance, I'll try to find time today to do a quick spreadsheet reflecting these calculations. I can't promise anything though, because I've got a full calendar today, but
This was helpful for me just to get that under, because I mean, I had 2 conversations on Friday where they were immediately like, all right, what do I get with the 25? Or if I do more, like, what's that look like? And I was like, well, this is why 2 of the partners are lawyers. And
hold that
if you're
thought.
interested, I will schedule a call.
Yep.
So
Nice.
and I was like, I don't know it. They're like, well, we know your tech, so we're interested. Let's have a meeting. So
Cool. Love
I'm gonna
that.
try to get those booked this week if I can. But to the point around how are people doing this with AI, I've been hanging out at the Center Club and just high level talking about some different projects that I'm doing that are even going to touch it. And people are interested and they have no idea what the term even means. So
All right. Well, listen, I'm happy to
I need
be
to hang out
available.
more at the Central Club.
Dallas, if you need me, even by phone on short notice, try me. I'll always try to pick up your call, especially if I know you're in an investor meeting, and that goes for all of you.
well, I didn't know I was going to have a call Friday. He just called me at like 9:30 at night.
I'm saying just feel free to try me if as needed, and if you want me there on the schedule, I'm happy to show up as well if we can.
Yeah.
But my calendar tends to be the funnel, the what is it called, the choke point, trying to get things calendar. So
one thing that would be really helpful too is, and I know this is no promise of a return or a value or anything, but what some AI disruptive tech stocks in our world are trading at right now.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
What are those valuations? It's one thing for somebody to think, oh yeah, you guys might get it off the ground. It might be worth $1 million. Okay. Been there, heard that story all the time. Why are you talking to me about that?
Yep.
But you start saying, hey, no, we are trying to get quick to market, quick to investors, quick to first round, because look at these valuations.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a sprint, not a marathon right now.
That gets attention.
And we're going to try to, and the market is ready and right for quick movement in this space, and valuations are off the charts. Yeah, we can find a list of current valuations or somewhere. All
And
right.
I will add, I think one thing that's going to help. So I threw together basic site, Jeff. I did change the logo this morning to make it a little more readable.
Thanks for doing that, by the way. It's
but
really good. It's really good.
It's going to look a whole lot better because I threw another one up for another project that I've got going live soon for another SaaS platform build. But actually showing like the system images, whether or not it's fully working, helps from a prototype standpoint and just showing people. And so the cool thing is we have all the user management done on the back end in the database now for the system. And the way that we're building it out, and it's a little less than MVP, I would say, is we are actually having like the admin, which are going to be like the Idyllic team. So any CS, whatever, support, tech help, people like that oversee everything. But then we've got what we're calling super, or no, that's super admin. Then the admins are kind of like what we've talked about before with white labeling, where like you can have someone come in and have multiple companies or add people who can then go create companies. So think if CoreX wanted to use this and then set up all of their clients on it to manage their accounts. And we added that in right now before just doing the clients, which is anyone who buys and subscribes, end user, like tech, serial entrepreneur, things like that. And then just the Idyllic admins, because it made more sense from an architecture standpoint to structure the system and the permissions and everything that way now versus having to redo it down the road. The good thing is it's actually implemented and we've got all the APIs done. So we're working on updating the front end, which I'm hopeful for today, but I forgot it was a holiday and some of their families would not let them work. So we should actually be able to start seeing it with some basic business creation forms and stuff this week from a system standpoint, at which point I'm going to update all the images on the marketing site, the sort of one-page marketing site, so that we actually have the system images on there. And at which point, if we even throw it in the pitch deck or something like that, of, hey, here's what we are building, here's what we're doing. It's not just a chat bot, but it's really a system for entrepreneurs and things like that. I think
Dallas, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just need to let everyone know I got to step away for 2 or 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Oh, no worries. But I think when we get to that point, it should be, it should be easier for us to get some more, some money in the door if we don't already have it by that point. And then really start getting it out in front of people.
Well, I'm gonna send the package that Jeff, and I guess Brent put together over the weekend. It's first of the month for me, so I have a little breathing time. So I'm gonna push it out. I'm gonna try to send it probably 25, 30 people today.
Cool.
And Dallas, if you know, so one of the people that I met with last week is very, very influential in the Atlanta startup market, because she is the managing partner for a very large law firm, CPA firm that is historically always been in the startup ecosystem, like Atlanta Tech Village. I mean, they sponsor everything. And she said, get me something that I can get to like Atlanta Tech Village for beta testing. We do it all the time.
No, definitely. I mean,
Just a little info sheet of some sort, and I'll send it.
yeah, we're a little early for that right now because we don't really want people beta testing till we at least get the AI side in it,
But
which
get some email addresses.
yeah, because right now we're sort of like hard coding it without the AI integration where it's all right, cool, they can create it, it's quote unquote formed, but it's not doing the AI parts of the system that we want. Because that'll require even
I'm
more
working on that.
Max and his team. Yeah. Because we can just plug and play that once that's built.
And I had forgotten about my sorority sister runs the University of Tennessee incubator.
Yeah, that's the one thing I actually like with allowing there to be like admins that can go and sort of like resell or allocate this to people. So I think that's going to be a nice value off the bat, off the start.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
gonna hit these incubators and stuff pretty hard.
Well, to that point, how challenging or easy or whatever it is at Dallas to take the website and be able to have people register, subscribe, let's call it subscribe to the tribe there, so that we can start providing updates, because my only concern is we start having conversations with incubators and we're generating interest, but we can't send anybody anywhere. Because I don't care what they have to see. Then we end up spending our time because now we got to go back. You know, I would love to be able to, if the next 20 people I talk to say, hey, you got to go sign up for this and check it out, versus I'll get back to you when there's a place to do that. And all I want to do is collect an email with a brief promise of what they're going to get updates on our development and get first access, that kind of thing.
Let me know what fields you want on that form and I'll just add it onto that page.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the other one I sent you for the Infinite project we're working on with the Cairo system, but it's pretty much like the same layout and structure, except it's got the screens from the system itself and then a contact us form. So I could just throw a form on there and have whenever someone submits, it emails all of us.
Okay.
Dallas, if you don't mind, I'm gonna throw some suggestions at you with respect to new things, additional things to say on the site.
Yes, I want all the wording and updates and changes because yeah.
Good.
Are you talking about pulling them out of the deck, Brent? That kind of thing?
I just want to be a little more comprehensive in terms of what we're actually planning to do, because we're doing more than is listed here. No big deal, but I just want to round it out.
Yeah, the site's very loose right now, so
yeah, no criticism at all. I appreciate you doing this.
Oh, I'm critical of it right now. I wouldn't.
Well,
it's
just
up.
so y'all know,
Sure.
I just a couple logistical updates. We did get things taken care of being certified in Florida. We got the name here.
Nice.
That name opened up. We're still fighting with the IRS about an effing EIN. It's beyond absurd. I've got one new angle to try today. And I mentioned this to Dallas on Friday. I'm hoping to talk to him tonight. A friend of mine up in Cleveland who's getting ready to retire, actually, is been developing and working with startups his whole career, but he also has raised some money. He's also been hired by VC firms to evaluate platforms. And I want to talk to him and get his feedback, because I think really I'm just talking to him in terms of being kind of an advisor. He also told me he's got a couple friends who invest in technology, that once he better understands it, he can make an introduction. So I'm hoping to talk to him tonight. And then probably the next step with that would be to book a call with you, Dallas. So
Happy to jump on one. I can also throw together a high level, just sort of system architecture page. I'll leave the AI part of it blank, but the just system components itself, I can throw something together for that because we are technically building it now. So we can do that where, yeah. So I can throw something together for that if people are asking.
Do we need another sit down with flow charting to
Yes.
to refine our model?
Yes.
We will need that for the trademark side of things.
Okay.
And then also I need the documents.
Oh, of course, right. Okay, so the Delaware documents. Yeah, good, can do.
Because the flow chart right now and everything, it works for everything that we're currently building. So we've got some time there. Unless Max needs more flow charting for the AI side of that. But
yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so the way that we're structuring the system, you got the admin side, the user management, all of that. But then the core end clients, as we're calling them from a role perspective, it's clients and admins and super admins. Super admins are Idyllic. The clients can log in, they'll see their dashboard, they can configure their account, and then they'll have the option to either, if they already have a business formed in the system, it'll automatically go there. If not, they'll have the option to go and look up and start their business filings. They'll also have the option to do the same for trademarks. The document vault won't be there unless they're in a business. If they're already in one and it's already detected that, they will still have the option to go and create a new one, so they can create n number of businesses and share access. So we're working on that business side right now, which we have process mapped out. What we'll want from a process standpoint is those same steps that we are going to want to take for the trademark side, which I would say we probably have a little bit of time. We'll want it mapped out whenever there's availability. I would say it's probably not the highest of priorities, because technically if we just want to demo, we could show a form of like the first 3 questions and not have it proceed from there, just to get something to show in a pitch deck or something like that, versus building out the whole thing before you're getting any money in the door, because that's adding up in cost.
Perfect.
okay. Anything else anybody else needs or support you need?
No.
We're starting to get some traction, and I know I'll bet everybody knows this, but and Dallas knows it better than everybody. Getting these first funds in is critical, because I believe 2 things. It's going to be the domino. And Dallas is writing, she's writing another check today.
I got wired out this morning.
Yeah, I mean, you're what, 17 grand?
Good cow.
Yeah,
Give or-
that's-
I've got to check like the small numbers, like I think it was 70 for the emails on other stuff. So I got to check some of the smaller numbers. But yeah, give or
So
take.
we need this money, because we're going to stroke it right back to Dallas.
And make sure if you've got some way for me to easily get a total, line item of everything, so that I can get it booked to our books. And anything and everything that you and Max are doing, it's already R&D tax credit. So, and we can work through some templates, just kind of name a project and keep up with your cost. We'll need them.
Okay.
Okay, everybody.
Looking
Let's get,
forward to seeing everybody in October. Thank you for
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all
I'm
set,
getting
locked
I'm
in.
getting tickets. So,
Jeff,
yeah,
have you,
in October.
Jeff, have you blocked that out on my calendar? Yes, you have. Thank you.
I did, yep, it's all blocked. And I sent it to
Okay.
everybody.
That's critical because seats
Yep.
go fast. All right, everyone. Appreciate
All right.
everyone's time and
Okay.
attention as always.
Have a good week or a few
forward to-
days. We'll be in touch.
Talk to you later.
Bye
Bye.
now.
Yep.